video will give you a brief overview of the indicators that make up the DTB system. All the indicators we will cover here are included in the subscription, and more will be added as they are developed, and some will be modified to include extra features. They range from very basic to highly advanced, and I am presenting them here in alphabetical order. So if you would like to review certain indicators on a second viewing, you can skip ahead to that part of the video. Our first indicator is the account position. Now this is a basic indicator, and what it does is it just plots the account that you would like selected. So you can go ahead and select any account you want presented on the chart, and also the positioning of the indicator on the chart. Now I have positioned this indicator in a certain spot, which will be discussed in a later video, that really helps with the chart positioning when we set up the signal chart, which we will cover in our next video. The second indicator is the advanced retracement. So this advanced retracement is also set to a value, a customizable value, and it works on ticks. So at this stage, at this setting that we have here, we've got a 100 setting. So every time the price retraces a certain value, 100 ticks in this example, it's going to draw a line. It's going to plot the arrow of that retracement, and at the moment the price is 37 ticks above the point where that 100 retracement started. So the price retraced from its low 100 ticks, and it drew that line. So that's what's going to happen in the instance of this indicator. This advanced retracement indicator can also be loaded on a minute chart. The only thing is that it is more accurate when loaded on a tick chart. So I've got it on a DTB bars 1010, and it just shows a lot more fluid on the chart. However, it can be loaded on different minute charts too. Our next indicator is the Auto Fibonacci Auto Trend. So this is going to basically draw trend lines, and it's going to draw Fibonacci levels between those trends, and it's going to plot those levels, and they could be very useful when identifying where price is in that trend, and it's going to plot those Fibonacci levels. The indicator can also be modified to different levels, and there's quite a few settings that could be set in there as well. This is the same indicator plotted on a minute chart. So this is a 5-minute chart. It's going to draw the same trend lines. It's going to plot those Fibonacci levels between that trend, and it's going to also plot the extra lines of the Fibonacci. This is our breakout box. So what this indicator is going to do is, as soon as it has confirmed a breakout, it's going to paint either the green box or the pink box. So this is a slightly lagging indicator because it has to first confirm that breakout, and on the close of the next bar, it's going to paint that breakout box. So if you are looking for a confirmed breakout, you can enter that. If you continue to have the same coloring boxes, you know that your trend is more than likely going up, and the same with it going down. So that's going to plot on the tick chart again, as well as the minute chart. Our next indicator we're going to cover is the cash machine. So this cash machine indicator again has quite a few customizable settings that can be set, and that will include different levels, different cap levels. It's going to include an option to paint the bars on and off. You're going to be able to set different values of when the volume of what different volumes are going to be plotted on the chart. So if we look back, we're going to see areas of very high volume in the price, and those values are actually going to plot, and they often can determine turning points in price or continuation of a trend, but those values are going to plot and with their volume levels. And on the far right top of the chart, we're going to have a current volume counter for that specific bar. Now again, with this, it can be plotted on a different minute chart. So it's going to give you the volume of that specific bar. It's going to highlight certain values that are extreme, and that is going to plot on that chart and just give you an idea of the amount of volume that has been placed at that specific time. The next indicator is the daily range. Now this is quite a phenomenal indicator. So the daily range indicator has got different values in there that you can select. So you could choose which days you want to display. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 and 20. So that will display the daily range of those days previously. And that can be modified. You can remove certain days that you want. You can even add certain days. Just bear in mind that the more days that you add, the more data you will need to load on your chart. So if you're going to load a 20 trading days, you would need to load 30 days of data on your chart. And this is going to show you really important information about price and how it has moved during that day. The only addition to the daily range indicator is the current day open, high and low. So that's just a standard indicator that comes with NinjaTrader that you can load with the daily range, and that's going to just show you the open, high and low of the day. So there's the open and the high, and the low is basically going to plot. So this is going to tell you that the average daily range over the last 20 trading days is 284 points. The range from yesterday was 312 points, 2 days ago 377, 3 days ago 300, and so forth. And what it's going to do, if I can get an empty section of the chart just to show it clearer, there we go. It's going to tell you the retracement. So at the moment the price has retraced 35 points from the high or the low, whichever is the closest. So in this case, from the low of the day, it's retraced 36 points. It's telling you that for the rest of the trading day, it's got to move 300 or 246 points up or 234 points down to fulfill the average daily range. So this indicator is very helpful to review in the early afternoon of US trading. So for example, if the average daily range is 284 and the price has moved, the current daily range is 200 and the room up is 250 and the room down is only 50, there's a very, very high likelihood that to fulfill the daily range, the price is going to be going down that 50 points instead of going up that 280 points, purely because the time in the day is nearing an end and they don't have enough time to actually put the price or to pull the price up to a new high to fulfill that daily range. So that is something to really look at. It's really interesting, and it's going to give you a lot of information on the left here, and you'll find that very, very helpful if you had to review that. Our next indicator is just the economic news, so that will just be helpful to know which news events could impact price. So that is a simple indicator, and it's just going to give you the next few economic alerts that are coming up. The next indicator is the Penance. So with the Penance indicator, it is good to load two different values on a chart. So you can play around with these values, the length of the trend, and ideally what you want to do is you want to be able to have the indicator draw a trend, and you want it to be able to draw these pennants. So these pennants are really important to determine price breakouts. So having that loaded on is a great idea to see where price is in relation to where it could be reaching, a point where a breakout could appear. The next indicator we're going to review is the river gradient. So a pretty cool indicator that's just going to give you an indication of price, where it is, and where the support and resistance is, and how this indicator basically holds price down and shows you the general trend of the price. And there we have it on a 5-minute chart, so it does a similar thing there. Not quite as clear as it is on a tick chart. So we have a 16 DTB bars, and we find that is quite helpful in determining when to enter and exit a position, and just showing you the general trend of price at that stage. Now this is one of our more highly advanced indicators. It's the shadow trading, and this is going to show you divergences in price. It's also going to color the bars based on the positioning of price, whether it is in an upwards or downwards momentum. So when it paints green, it means it's in an upwards momentum. When it's painting the gold bars, it's in a downwards momentum. Now, the coloring of these bars can be modified in the indicator itself. So there are various settings in this indicator, as well as audible alerts. So you can select alerts for the arrows. So if you select the checkbox to alert you on arrows, you can go and select an audible alert that will give you an alert when those arrows form. And it's the same with these divergences. So when these divergences occur, like you see on the chart, so the divergences will be highlighted by these connected dotted lines. So as soon as these connected dotted lines form, it's going to give you an audible alert when that happens. Same with the arrows when they form. And that'll help you just flick to the chart and see if there's a valid opportunity to enter a position. The momentum line is this bluish line that you see over there, and that's just showing you the true momentum of price. And on the left of the chart we have this red line, and that red line is just giving us a indication of how the indicator or how the chart should be positioned. So we always want to make sure that that red line is visible on the left, and that will ensure that our indicator is plotted correctly. And this momentum line is going to be moving with price, so it's going to give you a very clear indication of what price is more than likely to be doing. So when we'll go back to this signal over here. So at this stage, the momentum was down, we've had our gold bars, we've had an arrow to go up, we've started having our green bars, and now we're getting our red arrows and we're getting our divergences. So this is telling us, and especially with the momentum line dropping, this is telling us that this trend going up is very likely to be reversing. So as soon as we start getting our gold bars, that is truly an amazing signal from the shadow trading telling us that this is going to be going down. We could also act on these arrows and divergences and enter positions higher up. And that's just going to help you. And then when it comes to the bottom, it's going to do a similar thing. The momentum line is going to cross over price in real time. And it's going to be drawing these arrows. It's going to be drawing these divergences. And at this stage, another powerful signal of the indicator is that the price is more than likely going to be reversing because the momentum line is above price, and we have our arrows and divergence arrows. It is important though to continue watching what price does, because it could also reverse, or it could drop further like it has over there, and then it's going to give us more of the green bars, and then eventually give us, you know, a clear sight of that this price is going to be rising up. So these are going to continue painting all day. And right now we have our momentum line slightly above price. We do have some divergences. It is showing us that there's a possibility that this price could be going down. However, we need to be mindful of where the momentum line is positioned. So this green line that you see over here is basically our line to determine who is in control of price. So as soon as it is in green, that means the buyers are in control of price. When it reaches the 0 level, it's going to start going red, and it's going to show us that the sellers are more in control of the price. So at the moment we're still in buyer's territory, and you'll notice that this momentum line and this line will basically plot as the price moves up and down. It can also be used on a minute chart. So if you used to trading the minute charts and you want to use this indicator, it's the same thing there. You've got the opportunity to watch the momentum line, you're watching what price does, and it's giving you basically a forewarning that this price is more than likely going to be reversing, even though it spiked up a bit, and now we well and truly are in a downwards momentum. And over here we've got our divergence arrows, and that is telling us with the momentum line above that the price is going to be rising up, and even if it's just temporarily and then back down again, our momentum line is still showing us that the true indication of price is in the upward momentum. So that's our shadow trading. Our next indicator is a variant of the shadow trading. So this is also going to show you the coloring of the bars. It's going to show you the divergences. It's going to show you the dots. The dots are very similar to the arrows in the previous example. Now, the benefit with this particular indicator is that it also has Audible Alerts attached, but you could also adjust the sensitivity of those dots. So if you want those divergences to plot, if you want those dots to plot more frequently, you can adjust these levels to lower levels, and they will plot those dots more frequently on the chart, and that could give you more opportunities to enter positions. So again, we also have the Audible Alert set up for this, as well as extra Audible Alerts for overbought and oversold. So in our top right hand corner of our chart, it's going to tell us what the indicator determines as a fair value or overbought and oversold. So when that gets significantly oversold, it will have an Audible Alert if you select it, and if it gets significantly overbought, it's going to do the same thing. Again, all the colors can be customized and adjusted to your preferences. The same indicator can be used also on minute charts, so you can have a similar type of a look and feel to that, again with the coloring of the bars in play. And these bars are in real time based on where the price is in relation to where the 0 line is. So at the bottom it's showing us the 0 line, so we're currently on minus 0.82. So as soon as this flicks over to 0 and then 0 plus, these bars are going to start plotting green. This is another one of our highly advanced indicators. This is going to be the SI brick wall indicator. And that's just showing us where stops are being taken out in the market. It's also showing us where clear direction can be formed. And it does help also to have two variants or two different settings of this indicator loaded up on your chart. So I've got a setting of 4.4 and a setting of 3.3. And that's going to just plot us instances where the indicator is going to pick up that those are key levels where stops are being taken out, and it's going to show us the direction of the current trend. So when we have an indicator like this loaded, it's going to plot the direction. It's going to show the price coming back to touch those levels where stops are being taken out, only to bounce off and return up. And that's going to show throughout the chart. So as an example, this line over here, it plotted way back to the left, and it's going to show us where those support and resistance levels are and where price could be bouncing in and around. It's going to give us double brick walls where it's picking up the 3 and the 4, and that's just showing us a really powerful rundown in price, and so on and so forth. So you review this indicator on a chart, it's quite powerful to use, and again, those settings are customizable, that you can be able to alter them based on your chart size. So we've currently got an 8.8, so if you change this to a 16.16 or a 16.32, those settings of this brick wall will just need to be adjusted accordingly, and you could experiment with those numbers. You might even choose a 2.2 on a 16.16 chart and a 3.3 to give you a good overview of what price is doing and where those levels are that are extremely key. So this can only be applied to a tick chart, not any minute chart. Our next indicator is a pretty basic one. It is just a strategy line, which is basically a moving average that's going to paint the bars according to the movement of that line. So we have, at the moment, I've got a 15 sensitivity, and I've also got a confirmation bar count. So what it's going to do is it's only going to change the coloring of the bars once 3 bars have confirmed that trend change. So again, this could be used on all different size bars as well as the minute bars. So whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever minute bars you are using, it's just giving you basically the moving average, and it's coloring the bars according to how price is in relation to that average. Our next indicator works on the flat baseline chart. So this indicator is called the ticks above below baseline marker, and what that does is it's customizable lines that you can draw across the chart that give you different levels of where price could be reaching. So this is a 445-1 chart, and if I expand this, it's going to show us, it's going to draw a line at 25, 50, 75, 100, or whichever amount that you put in there. So these again are totally customizable. You can add multiple instances of this indicator, and if you want to remove some of the lines, you can do that. If you don't want the 50 line, you can remove that. If you don't want the 200 line, you can remove that. And what that'll do is it'll only plot the ones that you actually choose to have on your chart. So that's on the flat baseline, and the exact same indicator can be used on the trending baseline. So the price has been trending down for the last day basically, and this is again going to show you the difference, or the different markers in price. So when the price hits the 200, that means it's 200 ticks away from the baseline. And we've had a significant rundown, and as you're watching this chart, you'll be able to see the different values of where that price is in relation to the baseline in tick value. Okay, so the next indicator is our trade support indicator. So again, this is going to give you a nice evaluation of price, and this is you can also use this as some sort of a stop when you're entering manual trades. So selling when the trade support is above price, and again, when the price breaks through that support and goes in the opposite direction. So these are going to follow price until it identifies where price could be reversing. And these little values on these dots are basically how many ticks away from the trade support that current bar is. So it's going to keep drawing that. Right there, it came within 2 ticks, and it showed that value there. So that's just the distance between where the trade support is and and where the bar is. Again, they can be used on minute charts. So here we have a 5-minute chart with the same approach. So it's going to draw your basically your trends, your trend support. It's going to show you longer movement in price. And if you want to know where your stop should be, they can be placed on these trade support levels or higher, depending on your method or your way of trading. Here we have the trading lines indicator. So this indicator takes advantage of a few different aspects of the market price previously. So it's going to give us the last 5 days if we select 5 days. And it's going to give us the open, the high, the low, and the close of the 5 previous days, as well as key pivot points in price. So if we bring the chart down, it's going to show us the low of 3 days ago, the low of 2 days ago, the close of 3, close of 2, low of 4, high of 1, and it's going to it's going to plot those values or those lines on the chart so you can identify where price may be resisting, where it could be touching, that it could have impact. So that's a great indicator to have on the chart, and just to show you the highs, the lows, and the closes of previous days. We have a red line, which is basically the low of the day, and we have a green line that is going to plot the high of the day. So they are going to be unlettered, or they're not going to have details next to them, but that's just basically plotting you the high and the low of the day, the high and the low of the day. And there is the trading lines on a 5-minute chart. The next indicator is going to give you a snapshot of what price has been doing over these periods of time. So the first one is going to be time, the second one is going to be tick, and the third one is going to be volume. So the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, the last 20 minutes the price has been going up. That's why it's green. 30 minutes ago the price was going down. That's the overall trend with regards to time. So in a 30-minute time frame the price is going down, and so on. And the same with the tick. This is the tick volume basically on the bars based on those values. So the last ticks, the last 1,950 ticks, and the tick value for a day is all in the green. So that is going to give you that, as well as volume. So it's going to show you what volume has been pumped into the market, whether it's buy or sell, and the strength of that is determining, clearly we are in an uptrend over here, so it's giving us the volume that's been pumped up that is pushing the price up. So a good thing to experiment. And the nice thing about this is you do not need to load multiple days on your chart. The indicator has a built-in setting that basically can pull up the previous year's data and plot it in a very easy to see form over here without having to look at multiple charts. Now the ultimate bands. This is a pretty awesome indicator. It's going to plot the price obviously and bouncing off the different bands, and it's going to have different coloring based on where the price is in relation to those bands. With this indicator, the opacity can be modified, the colors can be modified for the areas of the bands, And you can also have audible alerts when the price hits certain levels of those bands. So when it crosses above the bands, you can have a alert telling you that this is a buy opportunity or a sell opportunity, and those are going to be indicated. So it's good to, this indicator you need to have on each tick to be really accurate with regards to the alerts. So load it up on each tick, and what it's going to do is it's going to alert you the moment that that price is hitting those bands, and you can switch over to that chart and either enter a position or modify what price is, or monitor what price is doing at that stage. And the same indicator can be used on a minute bar. So if you're running the minute bars and you're looking for breakages of certain levels, you want to trade price off the bands, a really key indicator to do that. This is a very simple indicator. It's called the vertical line at time. So it just basically draws a line at, you know, if you want to set yourself certain trading hours, you can set a line, you know, basically a line on the chart telling you what time you want to start and what time you want to end, and it's just going to draw that line. So if your time allowed to trade manually is between certain hours, you have this set, and then, you know, when your final line draws, you close off all your positions and you're done for the day. So I suppose it's just a little bit of a filter for you to dedicate a certain time to trading and not overtrade, so you can set your allotted time that you want to work. And here we have the flat baseline chart, and this indicator is going to plot you the percentages between where the baseline starts and where the price would need to go for that baseline to break. So at the moment it's between the 23 and the 38%, so it's that distance away from the baseline. And this will switch over, so as soon as the price drops below the baseline, these values will switch below, and it will basically just keep following the price on either side of the baseline. So it's good if you are wanting to have a high probability or a high risk reward rate. If you want to enter a position, for example, when the price hits the 76, you know, you are risking 119 ticks, and for a reward of 336 ticks. So ideally that, you know, would be great if the price does reverse when it hits that level. There's going to be multiple instances where the price does reach very low levels and go down, but we're going to cover on how to identify those trends and how to identify when that price could be reversing on the next video, or at least on one of the following videos. So the next indicator is the same indicator, and that's based on the trending baseline. So again, it's going to draw the values of price where it is in relation to where the baseline is. So at the moment it's right near the 50%. So if you had to sell on the 50% mark, you know, you are targeting 223 ticks, and it'll be a very similar amount, you know, to have your stop on that level. So that's like a 50-50 risk reward type of a trade there. And based on the history of this baseline, where price is going, if you had entered on any of these wicks, basically they all would have been profitable trading back to the baseline. Now we do have automated systems that trade this, so it trades at different retracement levels on these wicks, and the same with this. So it can automatically trade based on these retracements, based on movements. It will sell back in the direction of the baseline with your profit target and your stop targets all set in price. And we'll cover the automated strategies in another video, which are also included in this whole DTB system. Alright, so that's the end of the introduction for the indicators. I did cover them in alphabetical order, and as that is how they are listed in the available indicators list. Great, so hopefully that was helpful just to get a brief overview of the indicators and to know what you are expecting from them. One last thing I thought I would mention is you could also, on the wick trader indicators, you could set alerts. So you could set an alert when the price hits the 50 fib, 61 or 76. So those can also be set. So a lot of these indicators have alerts that can be set up that you don't have to be watching your chart, but you could be alerted when price hits certain levels. So that is very handy for traders too. Alright, thank you very much, and the next video we are going to look at combining a few of these indicators onto what I call the signal chart to help us identify price reversals, trend continuation, and ideal times to enter and exit either manual trades or the automated strategies. Thank you.